I was testing different setups for Caridina shrimp, and I thought it would be cool to build the tank with 2 glass UGF boxes on each side. Little did I know, the tank struggled to find balance at first, but with the time and patience, it turned into a thriving, balanced ecosystem, all powered by the shrimp living in it. The story starts 1 year ago, as soon as I had a space for the new tank.
So here behind me we have a very tiny shrimp rack, and I only have one tank at the bottom with Caridina shrimp, so now it's time to build another one. And this is the bottom tank, and I built this tank with undergravel filter box in the middle and a tiny sponge filter in the corner. This is one of the first tanks which I built without the soil at the bottom. Look at the amount of shrimp here, so many kind of Caridina shrimp in this tank. So I want to build a very similar tank but a little bit different. And this is the tank, custom made tank which I built a few years ago. It used to be my planted fish tank, but it's leaked, so I had to move all the fish into this tank, and then I resealed it with silicone, so now it's as good as new. And I want to make this tank with 2 underground filter boxes on either side, and this time I made it myself from glass and silicone, pretty much the same as I'm making aquariums, just in a smaller scale. Alright, this is how our tank looked now with the boxes in place. We also got quite an open space in between the boxes, but that's fine. Later on we're gonna put some plants there, it's gonna look fine. Lots of you guys asking me where I get my lights from. Actually I made it myself, so this is the old version with the tape, and this is the new version without tape. This light is completely waterproof, this not. Basically it's just aluminum profile with some LED strip inside, and I put some silicone on top of it just to make it completely waterproof, so you can put it inside the tank, nothing happened, you can see. And now it's time to add the soil. For this tank I'm using the Amazonia soil. So what I did, I just cycled in another tank, and this way we leach a lot of ammonia from this soil. Otherwise you have to wait for quite some time for the cycle to complete it, so it saves a lot of time. And now it's time for bacterial powder, and I just sprinkle it on top of the soil like so. All is left to do is to fill this tank with water. So we fill this tank with the water. Here you go. You might hear a little bit bubbling noise at the beginning, but after a day or two the filter's gonna be more quiet. The water gonna become slightly cloudy because now the filter starts recycling all this water through the soil, and we have lots of bacterial powder there. In a few days the water should be clear again. So at this stage all I'm gonna do is changing about 30-50% of water weekly, and in about 2-3 weeks we can add some shrimp in this tank. It's been 2 weeks since we filled this tank with the water, and this tank is developing very nice. We have a little bit of algae started to grow on the surface, on the glass, and I call this algae cotton algae. It normally grows when we have some ammonia inside in the new setups. And we also have a first life inside this tank, a little tiny copepods. They normally come in about 2 weeks time if you're using this bacterial powder. I'm really happy to see them. This is the first life you see in your tank. After first week I changed 50% of water here. I just tested the water for ammonia, and you can see we have a little bit of ammonia in this tank. This amount of ammonia is completely not toxic for shrimp because we have a very low pH, and pH of the water here is 5.3. But before we're adding shrimp I want to change about 80% of water, so let's do it now. Alright, the water change done, so now I'm gonna sprinkle just a little bit of bacterial powder. I forgot to mention, guys, I actually put here 2 wild type Caridina shrimp. It's just because I have no space for them in any other tank. Why not to put them here? So they're gonna help us with the cycle this tank. And here I selected some pure red line crystal shrimp for this tank. They're not gonna be here forever. I'm only gonna add them temporary, and once this tank is fully established I'm gonna replace them for the proper shrimp. The mission here is to clean this tank, keep the algae under control, to add some biolot. Alright, now let's put them inside this tank. Look at this Caridina shrimp. It's wondering what's going on, why so many shrimp here? Get used to it, you're not alone anymore. So they already start to do their duty and clean up this tank from algae. That's good job, well done guys. And guys, I'm adding the shrimps a bit earlier because I have some experience and I might lose few of them during the cycle. But if you're new to the hobby, I would strongly recommend you to wait for at least 5-6 weeks for your tank to fully establish before you're adding your shrimp. So now I'm gonna leave the shrimp to do the job, and then I'm gonna get back to you once they finish cleaning this tank, and once this tank is fully established, then we can swap them for the proper shrimp. I'm not sure which one yet, so I'll see you in a few weeks. 2 weeks just passed and I'm back with another update. You can see this tank developing very nicely, and we already have a dusk green algae started to covering the surface of this tank. The shrimps did a very good job cleaning this tank, and you can see this tank is completely clean now. I already added the 2 pieces of flame moss and I put them on top of the UGF. The shrimps doing fantastic here. They already started to breed, and I have about 2 or 3 buried females here, and this is very good sign. That means this tank is ready and we can swap these crystal red shrimps for the proper ones, and I have a very similar job for them. I have a brand new tank over here which is 2 weeks old, and I have similar thing here. Lots of work to do for shrimp to clean. So now let's catch all of the shrimps, move them into the new tank, and then I'm gonna show you the new shrimp for this tank. Let's do it now. And take a look at them, guys. They are fancy tigers, mixed grade, mixed colors. Absolutely like these shrimps. Unfortunately, guys, the tank just leaked and they are homeless now, so I have to put them in this tank because I don't have any other options. So enough talking, let's release them into their new home. And now it's turn for the babies. I just separate them in a different jug just in case, because they're so little. So now let's bring them back to their parents and put them in this tank as well. Alright, so we've got our new shrimp inside this tank, and take a look at them, guys. I think they look happy, they already started to explore it. Now I'm gonna let these shrimps be in this tank for a month or so. We have plenty of little babies, lots of buried females. In a month or so, the tank gonna be more mature, so it's gonna be more things for you to show. The hair-like algae have completely overgrown this tank. It has covered the moss with a thick blanket, slowly killing it by blocking light and absorbing nutrients. Not only does this algae kill the moss, but it also becomes a death trap for the shrimp that try to hide in it. They get trapped in these killer threads with no chance of escape. Oh my god, look at this shrimp, guys. I think she trapped. Look at this female here. Yeah, look. Oh yeah, she's escaped now. So this algae is very dangerous. We lost one shrimp already. Looks like she trapped in this algae and she couldn't escape. That's why she died. Same as this shrimp I just saw. She couldn't escape from this algae. So I have to clean it as soon as possible. I need to stop this algae growing. I'm gonna do a massive water change. I'm gonna replace this moss for the fresh one, and I'm gonna clean all this terrible cotton algae. I don't know why it's keep growing in this tank. Sometimes it happened before in my other setups. Eventually it should stop, but to help this to get away quicker, we need to make sure we clean this tank from this algae. So we have to clean it now. Next, I carefully peeled off the moss to make sure there were no baby shrimp hiding inside. Then I gave this tank a good cleaning and removing every piece of thread algae and all the infected moss. The algae finally went away and this tank established itself very nicely. I added some bucephalandra and a few different type of moss in this tank. I also placed a double sponge filter for extra filtration. The shrimp were thriving, they were very active, looked healthy and always came out during feeding. The numbers have grown since the last update and the colony was clearly doing well. Luck was finally on our side, the algae disappeared, the plants and shrimp were thriving and I was so pleased with the result. The algae came back again. I'm not kidding, guys, you can see it for yourself. That tank was a complete mess and looked like a Halloween decoration. This deadly algae grew on every surface, covering all the plants. Even the sponge filter started to look like American president to me. It was a total disaster. At that point, I blamed my DIY lights and accidental overdose of bacterial powder, which caused excess nutrients and triggered a nasty algae spike. I came up with only one logical solution to deal with it: a full blackout. At this stage, I received a big shipment of shrimp from KW Shrimps and he sent me some truly stunning black and red fancy tigers. Top quality shrimp I couldn't have even dreamed of. My oven shrimp were at the very bottom in terms of grade and quality compared to them. I also needed more tanks for new arrivals, so I made the decision to scrap this breeding project and use all of my low-grade shrimp to test new setups. They didn't have a permanent home, instead they traveled from one new tank to another, testing the water before I introduced the high-grade shrimp.
Once I see them being active, eating well and breeding, I know this tank is ready, and that's when I remove them and replace with expensive high-grade shrimp, confident that they'll be completely safe in the new environment. After finishing their job in one tank, the test shrimp then move on to the next one, continuing their mission. Occasionally I might lose a shrimp or two if a tank isn't fully ready, but they still breed a lot. As you can see, there are plenty of babies and the colony continues to grow at a good rate. At one point there were so many shrimp that I even started selling them on my website, and to this day I've managed to sell most of them. This tank became a temporary home for a small colony of wicked starter shrimp I received from Singapore. Since the main tank was still cycling, they stayed here while waiting for it to become fully ready. These are my favorite shrimp and I was very excited to add them to my collection. They spent 2 months in this tank growing from juveniles into young adults, and they always remain happy and very active. A 1-week blackout worked really well to eliminate all the algae, and at this point the ecosystem finally became stable and the tank looked healthy and well balanced. It's been a really long time since we set this tank up. I've since added a new shrimp rack in this corner here, and I'm slowly filling it with the new tanks. Our tank is now at the very bottom, and after 1 year it's as healthy as ever. It has become a thriving ecosystem, the plants are flourishing, and the green dust algae and biofilm covering the surface provide organic and natural food for the shrimp. After I moved the wicked starters into the tank, this tank became a home for my cull shrimp. I'm mixing different type of Caridina shrimp here that don't quite meet my standards, so I moved them into this little community tank. Even though the shrimp might not be as beautiful as my other shrimp, they still deserve to enjoy their life in this little tiny world.
Massive shout out to all of my members. Thank you so much guys for your awesome support. I really much appreciate it, and of course thank you all of you guys for watching until the very end. And make sure you watch this video next, because YouTube thinks you might like it, and you know, YouTube algorithm is like AI, it's a very clever thing. It knows your history, it knows exactly what you want to see. So give it a go, I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it. Have a wonderful day. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one.